The situation in the Middle East has reached a critical inflection point as the United States launched significant retaliatory strikes against Iran overnight, a decisive move following the tragic deaths of two American service members stationed in Jordan. The latest intelligence indicates that these strikes were not merely calculated to degrade Iran's capacity to menace shipping lanes in the Strait of Hormuz, but were specifically directed at Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps IRGC forces identified as the perpetrators behind the lethal attacks on U.S. personnel this past Friday. While the identities of the fallen heroes have not yet been released, the Pentagon confirmed that these individuals were killed while engaged in defensive operations against a barrage of Iranian ballistic missiles and drones. The human toll of the encounter remains sobering. In addition to the two fatalities, one service member remains missing in action, and 4 others were evacuated to Jordanian hospitals for treatment, though they have fortunately since been released. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth honored their ultimate sacrifice, expressing the profound solemnity of the moment. All eyes in the international community are now fixed on the region, bracing for how this intensifying tit-for-tat dynamic will unfold. President Trump, speaking to News Nation, characterized the event as a profoundly sad development, emphasizing that it is always painful to see those serving their country lost in such a manner. Yet, he appears entirely undeterred in his resolve, remarking to the New York Post that the incident serves only to highlight the aggressive nature of the Iranian regime. Meanwhile, reports from the Wall Street Journal suggest that the United States is rapidly mobilizing additional warplanes to the region. This comes as Iran's supreme leader continues to accuse the U.S. of violating a memorandum of understanding regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's attempts to dictate maritime traffic have forced the U.S. to take countermeasures, resulting in the redirection of 5 commercial vessels and the disabling of 1 ship due to Iran's naval blockade. The unfolding events serve as a stark reminder that many have fundamentally misread President Trump's character and resolve. If foreign adversaries believe that inflicting such profound pain on America by killing service members will act as a deterrent or force the president to shy away from his objectives, they are operating under a disastrous miscalculation. What began as a hopeful trajectory toward a peace deal has dissolved into a dangerous cycle of escalation. For all intents and purposes, the gloves are now off. It is widely expected that President Trump will respond to this provocation with overwhelming, focused force, shifting the nature of the operation entirely. This development has only stiffened the American resolve. While the tactical focus remains on the battle for control of the Strait of Hormuz and the necessary strikes in the Bandar Abbas region, this must be viewed through the lens of the broader, reckless attacks on Gulf partners like Jordan. There is a unified, unwavering commitment within the Pentagon and the Situation Room to deliver a forceful response to these actions. We are undeniably in a position where we must hold the perpetrators accountable. The loss of American lives cannot be met with inaction. Yet a broader, more existential question looms. How does one de-escalate within this dangerous trap? What began as a conflict projected to last weeks has stretched into months. And there's legitimate concern regarding whether this trajectory risks evolving into a multi-year entanglement. We must critically assess what victory actually looks like and define our clear, strategic objectives, while the stated goal remains the denial of nuclear capabilities to the Iranian regime. Achieving that in practice remains elusive. The regime has proven resilient despite the elimination of various high-level leaders, largely because it was specifically engineered with a decentralized mosaic defense structure designed to survive decapitation. Despite these complexities, we must be clear about who is driving this escalation. The choice to climb the ladder, to strike Jordan and take American lives, was an active decision made by the Iranian regime. As long as they continue to choose aggression, the path to de-escalation remains obscured. President Trump has demonstrated remarkable patience and provided ample off-ramps for a diplomatic resolution. a path that remains open if the regime chooses to pivot. However, they have chosen a different course, and that escalation will not be accepted. It is becoming increasingly evident that the regime has no genuine desire to strike a deal. They have constructed their power apparatus specifically to withstand external pressure and regime change efforts. The fundamental concern remains: can a regime of this nature be collapsed through airstrikes alone? Both sides are currently engaged in a process of escalating costs, and the ultimate end state of this mission remains the central challenge of our current foreign policy. No one desires peace more than the president, and his efforts to achieve it are well documented and worthy of respect. However, the reality of the situation has shifted. When American service members are killed, the fundamental nature of the conflict changes. Miscalculating the president's resolve was a strategic error, but for the Iranian regime, it has now transformed this confrontation into an entirely different and much more perilous game.